Okay, so I wanted to get faster and stronger prints for my Elegoo Centauri Carbon, and one of the ways to do that is by using a slightly larger nozzle. However, I had trouble getting a 0.6mm nozzle from Elegoo. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with my Elegoo Centauri Carbon, and the 0.4mm is just doing great. I mean, look at this torture test. The details are great, it crushed the overhangs, the bridging is good, and here's another bridging test, and it's also pretty good. Pretty much, it passed all the tolerance tests, and the only problem for this torture test is that it was stringing. However, that's on me because this is actually PET G and I forgot to dry it. So we'll give it a pass. Now, you might be thinking, why would I even want to switch to a 0.6mm nozzle if the 0.4 is doing so well? You see, after 869 hours of 3D printing, I want to make it into a side business because this printer is an investment for me. Where I'm from, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon is almost as expensive as a P1S. So if there's a chance that I can recover that investment, then I want to take it. Not to mention, this hobby is really expensive, so there's that. Basically, I just want to make this into a cycle where I can print stuff, sell it, have fun, that's it. So the problem remains, where will I get a 0.6mm nozzle? The first place I checked was the Elegoo Amazon site, and there they had the listing for the 0.6mm nozzle. However, there weren't any reviews, so I kind of hesitated with that listing, and I tried to look for more brands selling them. Two that popped up was HZ Dadev or something, has Dadev, and Micro Swiss. Now, the Micro Swiss hot end looked really nice, and its system looks really good. And that's why I got this. I actually got two of them because for two of them, that's only half the price of the Micro Swiss hot end. So yeah. Now, the 1-star review rate of this hot end is actually 12%, and I don't know about you, but for me, that's pretty high. That's why I got two because remember, I'm a beginner and this is my first time swapping hot ends. So my main target was to make it out with the printer intact and still able to print, whether it was a 0.4 or 0.6 nozzle. All I wanted was to make it work. And spoiler alert, it was close. Now, the first thing I tried to do was to fine tune the filament. So that meant the temperature towers, the flow rate, the pressure advance, and everything. However, each time I attempted it, the prints just flew off the build plate. Now, at first I was thinking the build plate was just dirty. So I kept on cleaning it, and cleaning it, but it just kept on failing. So that's when I asked AI, and the first thing that it said to me was fix the Z offset. And you know what? It was right. So I ended up with a negative 0.045 offset, and that's when the prints started sticking to the build plate. However, that was just the beginning of all my troubles, because after that, I couldn't match the flow rate with the outer wall speed and the temperature. It took me so long and so many tries that it lasted 2 days. However, I was able to brute force it by printing temperature towers with different volumetric speeds. I finally narrowed it down to 15 with a temperature of 230 for the first layer and 225 for the next layers. So basically, it was running on 225. So now that I got it running, I tried the torture test once again, and it actually came out pretty okay. This is the first try, but as you can see, the bridging is okay, the overhangs are fine, but this part is really ugly. So that's something I had to check once again. So this time it was just playing with the speed until I got the right one. And since it was only this part that made a mistake, I only printed it until I got it right here. So you can see there's stringing, and actually now it's dry filament. So there's still that flaw. It's stringing at the seams, and I really don't know how to fix it. So if you do know, please let me know down in the comments. So with that, I thought everything was going to be okay. But it turns out it was just going to get worse. You see, I already started printing and it actually came out with this print. Seems pretty nice, right? So I was pretty confident about leaving it for the night, and then that's when it happened. I left it for an overnight print of about just 4 hours, and that's when disaster struck. The filament spool got tangled up and it started printing on air, and then it just stopped printing and just went back to the parking spot. However, once it did that, the nozzle started leaking, which now I know is a problem of 0.6mm nozzles. They sometimes leak. And then what the Centauri Carbon did was that it tried to cut off the excess plastic by running it through the cutter over and over and over again. That was for 6 hours, and the whole machine was shaking. So when I checked again, it was still doing that. So what I did was I put the temperature at 270 and waited for the plastic blob to melt off and just check on the machine. I thought it was broken. I thought maybe it was already skewed a bit. I thought I wasn't going to be able to print again. But you know what? The Elegoo Centauri Carbon took it all, and it even bent the nozzle here. And remember, this was for 6 hours before I was able to fix it. So it was just shaking. It was trying to shake it off for 6 hours. Now, of course, I melted off the plastic blob that was keeping it stuck. And the nozzle actually broke. So I'm down to one and I just installed that. And luckily, all the calibrations and settings were still the same. The Z offset was still negative 0.045 and all the temperatures, all the speeds, everything was the same. So I did auto calibration all over again. But yeah, pretty much everything was the same. And then I came out with this print at 0.18 millimeters. So again, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon is a tank. I don't know for how long I'll be able to have this 0.6 millimeter nozzle. I'd really like to try the micro Swiss one, but it's just too expensive. But as long as I have it, I'll use it. And when it's broken, I'll just switch back to the 0.4. And if I have a side hustle by then I'll just try to figure it out. That's the story of how I switched to a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. Please like, please subscribe if you liked it. And that's it. Peace. Have a nice day.